Ladies, let me be real with you for a second. Too many women find themselves in situationships thinking it's love, thinking there's potential, thinking maybe he just needs time. But let me tell you something. If a man truly wants you, he will show you. Now, I know it can be confusing. Sometimes he's calling, he's texting, he's showing up at night, but somehow you're still unsure about where you stand. That's because some men aren't looking for a relationship. They're looking for convenience. They're looking for pleasure. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself emotionally invested in a man who's only interested in one thing, sex. If a man is only reaching out to you at night, that's a major red flag. It means he isn't prioritizing you during the day. When he's going about his normal routine, handling responsibilities, and engaging with the world. Instead, he waits until the sun goes down. When things slow down and he starts feeling a certain type of way, this isn't a coincidence. It's intentional because during the day, he has other things going on, work, friends, maybe even other women he's entertaining. But at night, when he's looking for company or a way to satisfy his needs, that's when you hear from him. It always starts the same way. A simple text like "what you doing" or "you up." And because you're interested in him, you respond thinking maybe he just wants to talk, maybe he wants to see you. But if you take a step back and look at the pattern, you'll realize that he's not checking in on you throughout the day. He's not asking how your morning is going, how work was, or what's on your mind. He's only reaching out when it's convenient for him, when he's looking for something specific. A man who truly values you is going to communicate with you consistently. He won't just remember you when the night falls. He'll want to talk to you at any time of the day because he enjoys your presence, your energy, and your mind. He'll check in on you, make plans in advance, and engage with you in ways that have nothing to do with getting you alone. But when a man only calls or texts at night, he's showing you that he doesn't see you as a priority. He sees you as an optional late night convenience when he wants company or intimacy. And let's be real, if the only time you hear from him is after dark, he's not interested in dating you. He's not thinking about building something real. He's not wondering how he can get to know you on a deeper level. He's thinking about one thing. And the longer you entertain it, the more he gets comfortable with keeping you in that position. Because let's be honest, if a man can reach out to you at night, get what he wants, and disappear until the next time he feels like it, why would he ever feel the need to change? A man who wants you for more than just sex is going to make the effort to be present in your life beyond the nighttime hour. He's going to call you just to hear your voice, text you to ask about your day, and plan real dates that don't revolve around coming over to your place or inviting you to his. He's going to make you feel like a priority, not just a convenience. If all you're getting are late night messages, understand that it's not because he's busy all day, it's because he's not thinking about you until it benefits him. When a man is genuinely interested in you, he wants to know more than just the basics. He's curious about your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, and your future goals. He asks about your childhood, your passions, what excites you, and what keeps you up at night. He listens when you talk, remembers the little details, and builds conversations that go beyond the surface. But when a man is only interested in sex, he avoids those deeper conversations altogether. At first, it might not be obvious. He may seem engaged, laugh at your jokes, or respond when you bring something up. But if you start paying attention, you'll notice that the conversations never really go anywhere. He keeps it light, fun, and often flirty, steering clear of anything too personal or meaningful. If you try to talk about something deeper, your goals, your struggles, your dreams, she might change the subject, make a joke, or suddenly become busy. It's not that he doesn't understand the conversation. It's that he doesn't want to invest the emotional energy into something he never intended to take seriously. A man who is only after one thing doesn't want to form an emotional connection. He doesn't want to get attached, and he definitely doesn't want you to get attached. So he keeps things shallow. You might notice that most of your conversations are either about plans to meet up, small talk that doesn't go beyond a few text exchanges, or just straight up flirting. He rarely, if ever, asks you deep questions or tries to understand who you are beyond what he sees on the surface. Another sign is how he reacts when you bring up your feelings or talk about something important to you. If you're expressing yourself and he seems uninterested, distracted, or even annoyed, that's a clear indication that he's not emotionally invested. A man who genuinely cares will want to hear you out, even if it's not something that directly affects him. He'll want to support you, offer advice, or simply be there to listen. But a man who's only around for physical reasons will get impatient, give short responses, or try to bring the conversation back to something lighthearted or worse, something sexual. You might also notice that he never shares much about himself. He keeps his life private, only giving you vague answers when you ask about his work, his past, or his plans for the future. If he doesn't open up, it's not because he's a private persona, it's because he doesn't see a need to. He doesn't view you as someone who needs to know those details because in his mind, this is temporary. The less he shares, the easier it is for him to keep things detached and avoid any real emotional involvement. Pay attention to how your conversations make you feel. If you always feel like you're doing most of the talking, like he's never truly present, or like you can't discuss anything of real depth, that's not someone who's looking for a relationship. That's someone who's only interested in what he can get, not in who you are as a person. When a man is serious about you, he will want to integrate you into his life. That means introducing you to his friends, his family, and the people who matter to him. He will want to show you off, not just in a physical sense, but because he values you and sees you as a part of his future. But when a man is only interested in sex, he will do the exact opposite. He will keep you separate from the people in his world. At first, it might seem like it's just not the right time. Maybe he says he's private. Maybe he tells you he's just not ready to introduce anyone yet. Or maybe he makes excuses like, I don't really bring people around like that. While that may sound reasonable, pay attention to the pattern. If months go by and you still haven't met a single friend, if he avoids any situation where you might cross paths with people in his life, or if he actively keeps you away from social settings, that's a clear indication that he's not looking at you as someone long-term. A man who sees a future with you is proud to have you by his side. He wants his friends to know who you are. He wants to bring you around his family, even if it's just in casual settings at first. He wants to include you in gatherings, birthdays, or outings where the people closest to him are present. But a man who is only interested in sex will keep your connection isolated. He won't invite you to events. He won't introduce you to his inner circle. And if you bring it up, he'll have excuses for why it's not the right time. Another sign to look out for is how he behaves when you suggest meeting his friends or family. If he gets uncomfortable, changes the subject, or gives vague answers about why it hasn't happened yet, that's a red flag. He may even make it seem like it's not a big deal, saying things like, why does that matter? Or we don't need all that to have a good time, but what he's really doing is avoiding any level of emotional depth or commitment. You might also notice that he keeps your interactions limited to one-on-one settings. He's not making plans with you outside of private spaces. He's not suggesting activities where you would naturally run into people in his life. If your time together is always behind closed doors, with no sign of integration into his world, it's because he doesn't want you in that space. A man who is only looking for a physical connection isn't going to take steps that could lead to a deeper attachment. Pay attention to whether he takes you out in public or if everything is centered around being at his place or yours. If he truly cares about you, he will want to share you with his world. If he's hiding you, it's because he has no intention of making you a part of it. When a man is truly interested in you, his compliments will reflect more than just physical attraction. He will appreciate your mind, your heart, your personality, and the little things that make you unique. But when a man is only interested in sex, his compliments will always be focused on your body. He will tell you how sexy you are, how much he loves your curves, how good you look in certain outfits, or how much he wants you, but he won't acknowledge anything deeper about you as a person. At first, it might feel flattering. You may enjoy the attention and the way he admires your appearance. There's nothing wrong with a man being physically attracted to you. Desire is natural. But if that's the only thing he notices, that's a problem. If he never compliments your intelligence, never acknowledges your kindness, never expresses appreciation for your personality, that means his interest in you is purely physical. A man who values you for more than just your body will notice things beyond how you look. He will admire the way you think, the way you carry yourself, the way you treat people. He will find beauty in the way you express yourself, in the way you laugh, in the way you handle life's challenges. A major sign to watch for is whether his compliments always have a sexual undertone. Instead of telling you that you look beautiful, he might say something about how hot you are. Instead of appreciating your confidence, he might make a comment about how attractive it is in a seductive way. There's nothing wrong with occasional flirty compliments, but if that's all he ever says, that's a clear indicator that his mind is focused on one thing. If a man is only complimenting your body, he is revealing exactly what he values most about you. Another thing to pay attention to is how he reacts when you try to shift the conversation to something deeper. If every compliment he gives leads back to something physical, that's intentional. If he struggles to express appreciation for you outside of your looks, that's a sign that he hasn't taken the time to get to know you beyond the surface. He might use flattery as a way to keep you engaged, to make you feel wanted, but if his words never extend beyond your body, then his attraction is limited to just that. Think about the way he acknowledges you in different situations. Does he appreciate your ideas? Does he recognize your accomplishments? Does he admire the way you carry yourself? Or is every compliment centered around how good you look in an outfit, how attractive you are, or how much he wants to see you? A man who truly sees you will compliment more than just your physical appearance. He will appreciate the depth of who you are. If all he focuses on is your body, it's because that's all he's really interested in. When a man is serious about you, he won't shy away from conversations about commitment. He will be clear about his intentions, his feelings, and where he sees the relationship going. But when a man is only interested in sex, he will do everything he can to avoid discussions about the future. Anytime the topic of commitment comes up, he will get uncomfortable, change the subject, or give vague, non-committal answers. You might notice that he always wants to go with the flow or just see where things go. At first, this might seem like he's being patient, like he's taking his time to get to know you. But if you've been seeing him for a while and he still refuses to define the relationship, that's not about needing time. It's about keeping things exactly where they are. A man who is only interested in sex doesn't want to label anything because a label comes with expectations. It means accountability, consistency, and effort, things he isn't willing to give. By keeping things undefined, he can continue enjoying the benefits of your time and attention without ever having to fully commit. Another sign is how he reacts when you bring up the conversation. If he dodges the question, laughs it off, or says something like, "Why do we have to put a label on it?" That's a red flag. A man who genuinely wants to be with you won't make you feel bad for wanting clarity. He won't make you second guess where you stand. But a man who is only there for physical reasons will make it seem like you're asking for too much. He might even try to manipulate the situation by saying things like, "I just don't like pressure," or "let's just enjoy the moment." What he's really saying is, "I want to keep things this way because it benefits me." Pay attention to whether he talks about the future in a way that includes you. Does he make plans with you weeks or months in advance? Does he talk about goals that involve you? Or does everything he says feel temporary, like he's keeping the door open for an easy exit. A man who sees you as more than just a physical option will naturally include you in his vision for the future. He will talk about things he wants to do with you, places he wants to go with you, and how you both fit into each other's lives. But a man who is only interested in sex will avoid making any future commitments because he never planned on staying long term. You might also notice that he gets distant or acts different after these conversations. If you bring up commitment and suddenly he's not texting as much, taking longer to respond, or making excuses about why he's busy, that's not a coincidence. That's avoidance. He's hoping that if he pulls back, you'll drop the subject and go back to how things were. If a man is serious about you, he won't run from the conversation. He'll embrace it. But if he's only there for one thing, he will do everything in his power to keep things exactly as they are. When a man is truly interested in you, he will want to stay connected beyond just the physical moment. He will check in on you, spend time with you in different ways, and make sure you feel valued even when intimacy isn't involved. But when a man is only interested in sex, he will disappear once he gets what he wants. You may notice that after an intimate moment, he becomes distant, takes longer to reply to messages, or stops making the same effort to engage with you. At first, it might not be obvious. He may still send a text here and there, just enough to keep you from questioning things too much. But if you pay attention, you'll realize that his energy completely shifts after he gets what he's been chasing. He might suddenly be busy when you try to make plans that don't revolve around being alone together. He might go days without reaching out, only to reappear when he's in the mood for another physical encounter. This cycle continues because he knows that as long as he gives just enough attention before and after intimacy, he can keep things going without fully investing in you. Another sign is how he treats you immediately after being intimate. A man who genuinely cares will still be affectionate, still engage in conversation, and still make an effort to be present with you. But a man who is only there for sex will emotionally check out the moment he gets what he came for. He might roll over, go on his phone, or suddenly seem uninterested in talking. If you've ever felt like the energy completely changes after the moment is over, that's because it does. When a man is only in it for the physical aspect, his engagement ends once that part is done. You might also notice that he doesn't put in much effort between encounters. If he's only reaching out when he wants to meet up, and he's not showing interest in your life, your day, or how you're feeling, that's a clear indication that his focus is only on one thing. A man who values you will make an effort to connect with you outside of the bedroom. He will engage with you even when intimacy isn't on the table. But a man who is only interested in sex will disappear until he wants something again. Pay attention to whether he makes real effort outside of those moments. Does he call just to talk? Does he make plans that don't involve being alone at home? Does he check in on you even when intimacy isn't an option? Or does he go silent until the next time he wants to see you? A man's consistency will tell you everything you need to know about his intention. If he disappears after sex, it's because that was all he was ever there for in the first place.